Hi, everybody. So, welcome to this talk. Here is Giuseppe di Salvatore and Ruth Battig.
Hello.
We are from Film Explorer. Filmexplorer.ch is an online platform completely dedicated to art film. And we try to interpret the multimediality of digital platforms. So we have not only critical reviews, but also video interviews and podcasts. And now an online talk like this one.
Thank you very much, Christopher Small and DAFilms. We are very happy to be here and to share some thinking about the films from Nicolas Wadimoff. And it's a great pleasure to talk again also with him.
Yeah, we are here for the retrospective, All Forms of Resistance, that is curated by DAFilms and co-curated by Swiss Films and the Cinemateca Uruguayana. And before I introduce Nicolas to you, just a clip about a film that we are going certainly to discuss.
بقى يوم جمعة بقى 16/8/2013 فجيت على البحر فعثرت على الشيء هذا بعد يعني وانا بلم في الشبك وخلصت فعثرت على الشيء هذا لما شفته انا طبعا هستغرب عشان لحالي مش اقدر اني ايش هتجرب السهوله لانه شكل بني ادم مفاجئ يعني لونه عطى حالب هيك وسكني ولونه صخر فجرأت يعني وفي ايدي الشبكه وجرأت نزلت له عملت يعني المستحيل ونزلت له حسيت على يدي على راسه لقيته يابس يعني عرفت انه ايش انه مش بني ادم يعني حاجه ثمينه صنب رخام مش زي هيك شيء جبت معي اخوي بعته كمان شاب صاحب يعني نواحي ابو 200 متر غادي صاحب جبت من عنده حسكه مجداف اللي نطلع عليها نشد فيها.
That was a clip from the film Apollon Gaza by Nicolas Wadimoff, and it's a real pleasure now to introduce Nicolas to you. Hi, Nicolas.
Hi, hello.
Good evening, everybody. Very happy to be here with you. Thank you.
Welcome online. So, I mean, yeah, Nicolas, to introduce you and to present your artistic path and your activity in films, it's a huge task because actually you are not only a filmmaker, you also in Geneva. You are also active at Uzin. It was also a place, cinema theater, and then you were
a long time ago,
and yeah, and then you found a production that is Akka Films. So you are active as a producer, and now you are director of Film School of Geneva, the head. So, but we are going during this little hour to discover a bit your path. We are not going now in the details, just to remember to all the people who are hearing us that now on DAFilms it's possible to see to watch at 6 films of Nicolas' production indefinitely. So you can just connect on DAFilms and look at these films. Yeah.
It was very interesting to go a little bit through your biography, and then we discovered that before you was doing film, you as a younger person, you turned as a rock guitarist. So my very first question would be, what is the urgency to do film? Because you could also, the music is very important in your films, but why is now film, and what is the urgency to do film?
Well, I think when I was like 15 or 14 years old, 15, when I started to have a kind of consciousness about what was going on in the world. So we are in the 80s at the time, even in the late 70s. I think I was quite angry. Even when I was a teenager, I was angry, and being angry, and that brought me to be, well, I was playing football. I was angry on the field. I was angry all the time, but no, but everything brought me. I had a really, how to say that? When I was between 12, 13 and 18, 19, my life was very intense. I was doing a lot of things. I watched films. I went to concerts. I was going with the punk scene, which we called later on more alternative scene. I was going around in squads, and so everything together. It was not film or music. It was a kind of something, a kind of energy, life, which at that time was like do it yourself. And it was not only in Geneva, it was in Berlin, it was in Amsterdam, it was in Zurich, it was in Italy. So we were like traveling weekends, and every time we could have like some days free, we went hitchhiking in Amsterdam, in Berlin, in many different cities. So I was part of all this big movement, and among that there was music. I was playing in a punk band, and at the same time I was watching a lot of films. And so I didn't really know at that time if I would be a musician or a filmmaker or whatever. I was just living, doing my studies, trying to do my studies. And finally, I think when I started to play in rock bands, I was touring Europe, going from one squad to another squad and playing. And so I knew quite well soon that would be difficult to make a life out of that. But at the same time, I really liked that. And came the time, to decide, I'm going to go in the university or not. What am I going to do after my baccalaureate? What to say? We call it in Geneva maturité. And so I was 1 year in political sciences in Geneva, because at that time I also wanted to go to Nicaragua to make the revolution with the Sandinista front. That was more my idea. So I learned Spanish, and I wanted to go there to film and to do music, And so finally, I did this 1 year of political sciences in Geneva. I thought it was very, very boring, and it was not for me. So then I stopped, and for 1 year, I tried really to do more music. And so at the same time, I started to visit some cinema school. At that time, like 30 years ago, 35 years ago even, there were not so many cinema school as today. There was the IDEC before FEMIS in France. There was ANSAS in Belgium. So I went to Montreal because at that time I was in love with somebody who wanted to do some journalism. And in Montreal, there was one school doing both. You come in Montreal, there was a kind of bachelor which could provide you at the same time journalism, media communication, and cinema. So, it's like life brings that kind of thing. So I went to Montreal, and I started to do that school. And it was great because I went every day to Cinematheque, which was very close from the school, from the university. I watched film every day, and I played music with some Canadian new friends. So that's it. And finally, I think I was maybe better in film than in music. I was quite a good, rhythm guitarist, but I was not very good. So I think the choice came like that. It was natural, It was not a theoretical, intellectual decision.
So it was actually during your film school, your cinema school in Montreal, that you developed your passion for films, and because
already before, from when I was 15. I think I had a big thing when I saw, a Chilean film called La Spirale, and it was a film made from a lot of different rushes, filmed by people under the Pinochet, during the Pinochet coup d'etat. And I know that my parents were in touch with somebody belonging to the MIR, the revolution movement from Chile. And that guy and other guys were like refugees in Geneva, and they were editing that film, which is a great film made out of archives. And so for me, it was a shock. It was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I think I was even 13 at that time. But then, it was just a dream like that. It was not like today, where you can decide, okay, I will prepare my studies to go to a cinema school afterwards. And so I kept watching film all my life since I was 13. But when I was in Montreal, I thought it was like, okay, now we go, let's dive into that and let's make it seriously.
When I was rewatching the films, they are now possible to see on DAFilms, the 6th film, it was for me a very nice occasion to rethink your films. And then it was something like, for me, they are very, very different, the one from the other. But there is something, and I think there is in each film is a kind of earthquake, but it's not there. It will be there somewhere, and you are surrounding it. And then I was thinking, for example, this perseverance, is this already a sort of success that you have to be there to following somebody or to create a story? And this perseverance, is this already a success for you?
Well, it's that retrospective, which was first presented in Mexico 2 years ago, just before the COVID, and now in Montevideo in Uruguay, and now in DAFilm. That brought me to start to think about it. But I'm not really still today thinking every day about, myself and my career and why am I doing that or not. And I especially think that since I started the last month to think about it. And when I saw my colleagues, most of my colleagues, and even people I really like, and even people I love in Cannes, for example, last days, I think there are people from the age of, 20, 25, maybe, like the students I have. I have students, they already tell me, in my cinematography or in my filmography, come on, you just made one short film that nobody saw. So they talk like if they already know what they will do and what interests them, So I guess they will run a career quite clearly. I'm absolutely not like that, and I feel very far away of that, and I think it's very good for them if they are so clear. I'm not like that. I have the feeling that I'm doing films like I live, and my life is made of meetings, meeting somebody, meeting people, is made of travels, of what's going on in my life. And I have a very, I'm not saying that, I go out in the day and I see what's going to happen and then I make film about it. It's not that. I have a very, I think, quite deep political consciousness. I know well, the situation. I'm very aware of a lot of things. But then, even with that, I'm not running my cinematography with a goal. I don't have any goal, I live, and then I have emotions. And I really think that, I think it's a kind of revendication for me. It's, I need to be moved by something. So I'm moved by people in Marseille and like Yvan Sorel in Spartiate. I'm moved by the people in Aishin in Gaza. I'm moved by Jean Ziegler. And if I'm not moved by people or stories, I cannot film. So that's why I think maybe you can feel what you call the earthquake, or it's because when I decide to do a film, then I go into it, and I go into it like I go into my personal relation. I do it like 100 or 1000%. That's how I see. There is no big difference between my life and my films.
Yeah, this could be dangerous. Yeah, exactly this question, because I have the impression that, I mean, you expose also yourself in difficult situations sometimes. I'm thinking about Sheen, for example, or other situation. And the storytelling is one of the main part of a sort of drive, a sort of motor of your film doing. And so I was thinking, how now you told about emotion, but how do you research, how do you work about and to focus on one story and not another one? Because I mean, the strength of your films is the fact that you choose very probably very specific story, but very strong ones. So how is this work of research and this work of or I would say story casting, so something like
No, thank you for the question, because it obliges me to think about it more clearly. And I think it has changed. If you see the situation of my first film, which was called Le Bol, it was in 91. Unfortunately, it's not digitalized yet, and it was in 16 millimeter. That my first film, which was in Locarno, I think in 91. It was about, we call that in French, une soupe populaire. I don't know how to say that in English. You know, when people give free food for poor people. So it was like a place like that in the early 90s, right under the building I was living in, downtown Geneva. And I made a film, really like direct cinema, you know, filming for 1 month, or I think more, 5 or 6 weeks. I was filming myself with the Aton 16 millimeters. And I did it because I felt I had to do that. I was really interested into the people. I loved the people. I made friends with them. And then hopefully I had some, you know, some skills and some theoretical background. So I had seen a lot of Robert Kramer film, Van der Keuken films, you know, and so I had some base. And I think I prepared that film quite like day after day, even if I had a concept. But if you see the situation like 35 years ago when I started, or now, it's quite different, because now first I have the feeling, the desire, because without desire I cannot do anything. Not only films, I cannot do anything if I don't have desire, you know. Feelings, emotion. And then if I think, okay, now I have to do a film like that, I like that, I want to be with those people, I want to tell a story. That emotion, that feeling can come from many reasons. It can be friendship, it can be fascination, it can be attraction, it can be feeling of injustice, it can be anger, it can be a lot of. And then now I start first to have, okay, very early, like the day after, okay, good, I would like to do a film about that or with those people. But now, how does it make sense to make a film, and how to make it? And now I have a lot of, you know, keys tools that I can use. What we call, you know, dispositive, or is it going to be a hybrid film, fiction, documentary, mixing, okay, non-fiction, everything. But I think what I still try to do, especially the good example is Aishin. When I was in Gaza, you know, I was only like 14 days there. It was right after the first huge Israeli bombing on Gaza. That was like end of December 2008, beginning of January 2009. And we went there like 3 weeks after the bombing. So everything was destroyed. People were like burying the dead people, taking care of the hurt people. It was a desperation. It was absolutely terrible. And at the same time, I was trying to handle two sides. One side is like letting the door open to anything which could happen. So if suddenly I see, like, you know, suddenly I see some young kids playing on a dead whale on the beach. Okay, let's go. Let's do something with that. And then it will change all my script, you know, and I will follow that story. So I let the door open to any feeling, any meeting, anything happening in life. And at the same time, I had one other side of my brain, which is like always not controlling, but okay, I'm doing that because of that. I'm never like filming and then I will see, you know? So this is what I try to, not to teach, but to give and to transmit to the students when they do, for example, documentary. It's like trying to have that kind of what we call in French, le lâcher prise. It's okay, I go out and I see what's going to happen. And at the same time, keeping your concept and your perspective that you decided to have always, you know, because if not, you're going to do, you know, n'importe quoi, you know, it's like it's going to be a bordel total. So I'm trying always to deal with those two sides. And I think one side must be more like guts and heart, and the other one must be brain, you know, and it works quite well. So that's it.
And for example, you mentioned your film Aishin, Still Alive in Gaza, is really very impressive. Also because it's so actual, you can't just change the name of Gaza and you find something else, and it's very truthful. And for me, it was very interesting how you followed all these people. So I was thinking these circumstances, it must be also a question of trust. How you have trust in the people, and the people have trust and get trust in you that you can do this film.
Well, you know, I think it's a question of this trust is not. It's not a contract that you can sign, and I think it's the opposite. You know, for example, for the Apollo of Gaza, I was doing the film with the National Film Board of Canada, NFB, and with a producer, Colette Lumet, that I really like, and I love her. She's a great person, and she's a great producer, but she was part of a big institution, the National Film Board of Canada. And they asked me to have, you know, their image release, because you need now in documentary, because a lot of people made some trial, you know, to production. And so this image release is a kind of contract that you make between you and the people, the character that you're going to film. And that's terrible because, you know, it's put on the relation a kind of institutional deal, which most of the time breaks the trust deal. So I just take that example to say that the deal I have is not a question of, you know, signing something or not. It's a question of feeling. And I think I have the chance until now. I think I've been filming quite a lot for the last 30 years. And except maybe 2 or 3 times among 15 films, I never had, you know, any problem. I never had any major problem, because I think I cannot film people if a relation of mutual trust is established. And that there is no, this is also when I teach to the students, it's difficult to tell that, because it's not something you can really teach. It's a lot about feelings. It's a lot about commitments. And I think people, they feel if you are sincere or not, you know? And I think I have one chance. When I was 8, 9 years old, 10 years old, when I was living in Switzerland, there was at that time a law initiative, which was called Initiative Schwarzenbach. Okay, it was a very racist and fascist initiative from the extreme right wing, which intended to put all the foreigners out of Switzerland, you know, especially the Italian and Spanish at the time, who were workers for nothing in Switzerland. And there was a lot of racist reaction, even in the playground, you know, in schools. And people thought, because I had black hair at the time, and at that time, you know, it was before Giuseppe went in Switzerland. At that time, you know, Italian were called Rital or Magud. They are very bad, and the Italian at that time were the Arabs of today, or the black people of today, you know. And so there was a lot of insult during in school, and I was considered as an Italian because I had black hair. My grandmother is Italian, my grandfather is Georgian, and most of the Swiss students were more like white blonde people, at the time. So I don't know, I had a lot of, fights, and I was always at that time on the side of Italian and Spanish, okay? And my friend in the playground were called Carlo, Giuseppe, or Felipe, and maybe I think it brought me on that side. And this is something, then you have it, it's like that. And this is, I think, why, maybe because of the face, because of, I don't know, my body language, anything, I don't play a role. When I go to Quartier Nord of Marseille, I'm not an anthropologist, I'm not an ethnologist. I'm not saying, oh, I want to see how they live, those people. No, I'm really part of that, And to be frank, I even think that I belong more to the people I film than to the people I join my colleagues in Locarno or in Cannes. So that makes things very easy for me. It's natural. So I have more the feeling to play a role when I go to a screening and I have to be a good people saying good things, or even in the school, than when I am in Marseille today because I'm living part-time here. Tomorrow I will go to train tomorrow evening in the club of MMA of Yvan Sorel, the one I filmed in Spartiate. I think I will feel myself maybe better there than I was in Cannes the last days. So that's, a way to answer your questions. And with the people in Gaza, I was not playing anything. I'm really interested into what they have to tell me. I don't think I'm better than them. I don't think I'm more interesting than them because I'm a filmmaker. And I think that feeling, they feel it. That's kind of consideration. That's it.
Just to remain about this question, because I would like to ask you now a more technical question, because just preparing this talk, I discovered that you collaborate with many people. That you have not necessarily a crew that is always the same, and especially for the camera, because for documentary, of course, the camera is sometimes a very delicate position because of the intimate situation that sometimes are there. And so how do you do? Sometimes you have, I think, the camera yourself, but when it's not the case, how do you deal with the cameraman? I mean, you take him on board in this human relationship, or you give him or her in clear indication or clear advice? I don't know. How is it?
No, I think it's a great question, and I think it's a question that people making film, they should ask themselves all the time. I don't think there is one crew which is maybe possible for every film. I think it will depend. For example, the one in Aishin, I met a cameraman called Franck Rabel. He's a French guy, and I had made the fiction part of a kind of docu-fiction for Arte television, I think in 2006. And then we met and we really had a very good feeling. And then when I went to Gaza, I thought, I think that's time to work with him. But that's a good question because I didn't really know how it will, react and what will be his feeling. But I had the impression that he would be good into that. And it worked very well. And I think if the film, I think the film is well made and the filming is great. And I think the filming is great because Franck is really on the same track than me. We are really, going together. And there was not 1 second when I thought, okay, guy, don't do that. Don't ask the people that, don't behave that way. It was perfect. And when I shot, for example, Spartiate, I was there with another guy, Joseph Haredi. He's the guy who filmed La Mif, the Fred Baif recently, and he made a great job for that. And I knew that guy would be good because, he likes boxing. He's a tough guy, he's a kind of, he likes action. And at the same time, he's very clever, very smart. And he had a great sensibility. And he was respected by the people in Marseille. And I think you must have a crew which is like, which goes on the same track than your subject and than your topic and with the people. And not only the cameraman, the sound engineer, for example. I have been filming a lot with Christophe Giovannoni, and unfortunately, he died 2 years ago. And it was great in relationship, and that's very important because you cannot be filming all the time and talking to the people. Sometimes you're preparing the next sequence, and you need to have your crew going along with the people that you're filming, and it's very important, And now I have a sound engineer, Carlos Ibanez, and when I was filming Spartiate in Marseille, every time I was like in the middle of a sequence, between two sequences, let's say, I didn't find him, and he was always like talking with the people. He was telling stories about Colombia, and the people in the north neighborhood of Marseille, they love stories about Colombia, especially Narcos, etc. So he was like a very good storyteller. Everybody loved him, and it worked very well. And so it put on the table a great situation of relationship, which helps the film to be better, I think.
Yeah, it's incredible because it's a kind of, perhaps your experience as a musician is coming back because it's a kind of jam session you are doing with your people during the film, and perhaps also this idea of urgency that everybody has this in the soul, in the feeling of it, and it's very interesting that is one person is coming back all the time a little bit, and this is on the editing table is Karin Sudan. And so I'm quite curious, there is this fidelity to her, because she has now all your jam session on her editing table. Can you perhaps tell us a little bit how is this process of the editing with her? And yeah.
We are like an old couple, but it's a bit sad because we got divorced like 2 years ago, but I think we're going to get married again. No, I'm saying that like a joke, but Karin is a lot for me, but unfortunately I have to share Karin with some others, so I'm a bit jealous because I think she's so amazing as an editor that in the beginning, I think we were two to know that. Now we are like 10 or 12. So she has to divide herself between all the people who want to work with her. So, but to be more serious, Karin, I knew her because she worked as a script on my first feature film, Clandestin, which I think is on DAFilms platform as well. And so we get along very well. We have a huge complicity. We know each other very well. We don't need to talk a lot. And then she was also a script for a TV film, a feature film, TV that I made called Rue des Bains. And then she started to edit. And she edited Jean-Stéphane Bron film Mais im Bundeshaus, in 2002, I think. And then I started to work with her, and so she brought me something incredible, which is okay. Like you said, I mean, I bring all my stuff. I put everything on the table. It's like if you come back from a trip, you have a suitcase, you have a lot of different clothes, things that you brought back, things that people gave you. It's a mess, but it makes sense, but you don't really know how it will make sense. And she watched everything, and she's very severe, she's even sometimes cruel, she says, okay, no, it's not good. Yeah, but it was very important for me. No, it's not good. So she's a bit la reine mère, Catherine de Médicis. She's very hardline, and at the same time very sweet, and very, very smart. And I think she's obsessed with the idea of, she's very good in dramaturgy, and she's obsessed with the idea that a good film has to be carried by people, by characters. And she's more into that than into formal concept. She's not really interested into formal concept, which means that if you have filmmakers who want to do the smart boy, smart girl, okay, look, my really good dispositive, the way I film, and there is no emotion into it, she will just like throw that into the garbage. She's not interested at all. And so that's why sometimes I thought I had very good ideas in terms of, mise en scène, and I love that. And she said, yeah, but it doesn't make sense for the story. I said, yeah, but please, it's nice, it's cool. And she said, yeah, maybe it will be good for festivals or for critics, but not for the public. And we had huge discussion, but I think she's right. And so the last films, I think the Apollo of Gaza, she was not available at the time. We didn't do it together. And Spartiate as well. So my last two films, she was not on it, but still she went at the end just to put things together. And I told my editors, Christine Offed for the Apollo of Gaza and Jean-Daniel Schneider for Spartiate, who are great editors. I told them, listen, I just need, it's a bit kind of, maybe it's not really cool, but I just need Karim to come like the 2 last days to see things. And, for an editor, it's quite hard. But they understood that it has nothing to do with the work. It's my problem, okay? I just needed to have her, insurance that, okay, you can go. So I'm really depending on her now. And I'm sure we're going to work together again, but she's a great editor, definitely.
Yeah, I like that you touch the question of the storytelling. I think it is very, very important by you, the storytelling, and the fact that storytelling in some way or very often is made by the characters themselves. It's not something that it's not just in the script. I mean, it's something that, of course, mostly in documentary films. And concerning this documentary fiction, I would like to, but just probably take advantage now to say for the audience that if there is someone online live and want to ask a question or curiosity, just write a comment and we'll ask the question to Nicolas. Yeah, about fiction, because I mean you did several fiction also. I mean, Clandestin, Opération Libertad is two of them. They are also now on DAFilms, and you also have an experience in television, as you told before, 15 Rue des Bains. So I'm curious, actually, two things. One will be what did you learn in doing television, for example? I mean, what is it was something in your experience working with television that were interesting for doing film in general? So or
well, I think I was very lucky, because after my film school in Montreal, when I came back in Geneva, I started to work on some different short films or documentary or fiction films as an second, third assistant, like everybody when you start. And at the same time, they were like searching for assistant direction in Swiss television. There was a kind of application and a concours. So I made it, and they took me, and I started for like, I think 2 or 3 years working as an assistant. I was a father quite early in my life. I was 24. So I think it helped me to be really, I was never like out of the blue, I knew that I had to fill the fridge, and so I had to work. And I think that kind of reality concept was around my life all the time. And so I didn't ask myself every day if it was good or not, but I needed it to be like in relation and not to be too far away of what my political, my intellectual, my emotional thinking. So I arranged myself to work with a TV program which was called Temps Présent. It's still existing today. But at the time, this documentary program, which is nowadays more a reportage program, was made, had been made before by huge filmmakers like Alain Tanner, Michel Souter, Claude Goretta. And then when I started to work with Temps Présent, there was still André Gazu, other producer. He was a really good DOP and then director, people from the 60s, 68. And so they made great film at the time. So I was very, very proud to work for Temps Présent at the time. I'm not sure that today, I'm sure that today somebody coming out of the school, he could not go to work for Temps Présent because now the program is really, there is a off voiceover all the time, which says the second time what you are seeing in case that you didn't see it and that you didn't understand it. So you have no chance for the spectator to think differently than your neighbor, okay? So now the Temps Présent program, like most of the TV, unfortunately, is done for, if you have 1 million viewer, you will have 1 million people thinking the same thing at the same time. That's made for it, no space for your own interpretation. At the time, it was not like that. So there were spaces to establish a connection between you as a filmmaker and the spectator in terms of shots, the duration of the shot, the editing at the time was not so, square like today. So I learned a lot regarding the characters, how to approach people. And I learned a lot because when you started filming, it was quite short. It was always the same time. For 52 minutes, you had 3 weeks of filming, shooting, 5 weeks of preparation, 5 weeks of editing. And in the independent cinema, it's really longer than that. Okay. So what I learned is to have a real good preparation, really. And at the time, you were also working as a director with a journalist. So you had to be really well prepared. And then when you shoot, you have only 3 weeks. So you have to be very, very, very ready. And that helped me to do Aishin, for example. I shot the film in 14 days. So I know how not to lose time and to go straight to the point. And at the same time, put the condition to have spaces and to make that your character and the people that you're going to film, they never feel that you are on a hurry. That's also a question of organization. So one more time, it's about being very cool and open, and on the other hand, really well prepared. On one hand, you have to be very Georgian because that's my Georgian side, more open and oriental. On the other hand, very Swiss.
I perhaps a little moment I will come back to the editing because on this it's a little bit of different things. Also the framing, because I was really surprised also about this condition to do the film Aishin, and that was really well framed, every images, and then to think how, because there is something which I can find in the other films too, the ending of the film is all the time different, but there is open up a kind of meaning or a kind of voice. As a spectator, I can feel it with my own thoughts, and I have the impression that all your films, they are now on DAFilms, they have a kind of similarity in this.
About the ending.
About the ending of your film. Is this a kind of, I want to just know, is this really something which you are working strong on it, or is just something which will come and it will be there because it's your film?
No, I think one more time, that question brings me to in some space where I'm not used to go, which is the space of thinking about the ending of a film, which is very interesting. But I think I don't have a special thinking about it. I think every time I make a film, I ask myself again and again this question, and I think every filmmaker asks himself that question: how to end a film. It's a big thing, and you have mainly two types of ending: a closed ending and an open ending. And I think when you come to the point of ending the film, that's the time where you can say, okay, in case you didn't understand the film, my point is that. And so I want the girl to be happy. I want the man to be happy or to be sad. I want the family to be together. I want those people to die. So I want to put my sense of justice in that sense or not. And I think if I think about Aishin, if I think about Clandestin, if I think about Spartiate, if I think about Jean Ziegler, except maybe even Opération Libertad, they all have an ending which says, okay, we've been through something very difficult, because most of the time it's difficult. Okay, life is difficult. Okay, life. I try to make my own life, and especially the life of my beloved people around me, cool. But we could not say that life is cool. I mean, it's not objectively cool. Okay, we have to try to make it cool, but it's not. So the character of my film, they go through difficult things, and they try to get out of it. And so I think when comes the time in the film of putting the last images and to have an end, always comes back the idea of, okay, it was hard, we've been through it, but without any, it's not being naive at all. I'm not naive. But it's okay, even if it's hard, we will try, we will not give up, and we will hope for better days. I think that's my point. And I think this is what, I think this is how I see life, how I see revolutions, how I see insurrections. It never works, definitely. But it's not because it doesn't work very well that we should stop doing it, And I still think that the journey is more interesting than, the end of the trip. And I think the journey should last all the time. So that's why I think in Clandestin, they have been through the hardest thing that we can imagine. At the end, the boy and the girl, they arrive and we don't know what's going to happen. They will start again a new life, new generation. In Spartiate, it's hard. They lose people. But then, okay, we finish on then they will keep doing it. Same even for Opération Libertad, they almost all die, if I not die. I mean, it doesn't go well, but at the end, okay, it's a letter of a dad to her daughter, and the daughter will try to doing it again. So I think life is a kind of cycle, and at the end of the film, I prefer to put that and to say, okay, even if it's hard, there is still hope. And I don't think it's better than anything else, but I could not do it in another way, because this is how it drives me. The life is like that for me.
Mm-hmm.
So you are an optimist, like Jean Ziegler.
Yeah, well, I think that's why I really, it was not a big fight, but I insisted a lot with my producer, with the distributor, with even Jean agreed on that at the end, to call the film L'Optimisme de la Volonté. Because, talking about Jean Ziegler is talking about an ideology and people. We will not say they have failed, but I mean, if they had won, we will know it, okay? It's not the case. I think it's not what we are living today. It's not the dream of Jean Ziegler, okay? And so the guy is, when I finished the film, he was 82 years old at the time. Nowadays, it's 86. And I could not finish the film saying that, okay, you're old, you're gonna die one day, all your ideas and all this idea of more equality is dead. And no, because I think it will come back again anyway. And we see that, you know, people need something new. I mean, they cannot be happy with what's going on now. And I think this sentence of Gramsci, Antonio Gramsci, which is told in the film by the Cuban poet when he talks with Jean Ziegler, le pessimisme et l'intelligence et l'optimisme, on doit croire à l'optimisme de la volonté. Voilà. I really think this is the way we have to think, because if we are very, very smart all the time, we are pessimistic, because things are not going to be better, you know? Global warming, you know, populism, etc., etc. It doesn't go well now, okay? But we have to think optimistic, that we must have that will, and it's not that it will go better, but we will keep doing things because we have that will.
Probably, I take advantage now to speak something about your commitment as a producer, because I mean, you told us you are in Marseille and you have been in Cannes. So I mean, I was just speculating about Cannes and Marseille like two symbols, and in a sense, with your films, you bring Marseille to Cannes. In the sense that we bring reality, or sort of reality, some kind of reality to festival and to its audience. But at the same time, if I think about your commitment as a producer, you also bring Cannes to Marseille, in the sense that I was thinking about the experience of Swiss-Palestinian encounters, and about young filmmakers doing shorts, and so I don't know if you want to say something about this, and then probably about your commitment as a
No, well, you know, the Swiss-Palestinian encounters, it was made like 18 years ago, 2004, and 2004 and 2005. I think today, I mean, nobody needs that now, because at the time there was nothing. I knew I had Palestinian friends, filmmakers, and at that time there was, you know, Rashid Mashraoui, Michel Khleifi, Aïssa Frej. There were like 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, 6 people. And so we decided to do this program and to have an exchange between Swiss filmmakers and Palestinian filmmakers. Look, like 22 years after, look where the Palestinians are. I mean, they have film in Cannes, they have film everywhere, and they don't need anything now, you know. And so it was just that at a time, at a moment of my life, of their life, there was this meeting of people and that need of exchanging ideas. And now I keep strong relation with Palestine and Palestinian filmmakers, but on another level, because now those filmmakers, they have become adults and very good filmmakers. So now I'm producing them when I can, not all of them, but you know, I'm working with Red Andoni. I have strong, close relation with Anne-Marie Jassir and some others, Palestinian filmmakers or producers. And I think what I'm doing in Marseille now, with people from the, you know, let's say hard neighborhood, like what we call Quartier Nord or Belle de Mai in Marseille, is also a kind of, it seems a bit like what we've been doing in Palestine, but it's, you know, it's never like, because I think that I know things, I come from above and bringing a kind of knowledge. It has nothing to do with that. That they know a lot of things that I don't know, and they teach me a lot of things, you know. And the relation we have now with Yvan Sorel from Spartiate and from Tirsa, the guy, you know, the coach from MMA, and me, the relation we have established is really a kind of mutual respect, and we bring to each other something. I think he needs me, I need him in the same way, or he wants me, I want him in the same way, you know. And that's a common will. And he has good stories. He has really good stories. I have some tools to put those stories on screen. He has good characters. I have good technical crew. Together we can make something, you know. And we are working on a new film. My next feature film will be made with him and other people around him. Real non-professional actors mainly, and we are writing a fiction together. And I love to do that, you know. And yeah, maybe they will go to Cannes as the Palestinians have been to Cannes. This is the best we can hope.
I have the impression that you give us, with your films, the possibility to look very close to the relationship, as as you are living it in doing films, and if with the microcosmos and the macrocosm. And I think there is, so then we can really think about what's happened between the others, between the neighbors, and this is politic. And this is really very, very interesting. And when I'm listening to you, how you're talking about all this relationship to do the film, I see this really a sincere, lien. It's really a line with the film, and how, on the screen and behind the screen, and when you are doing film. And so you thought that at the beginning, that's you are doing what you are in your life. So I wanted to know, perhaps after all, who is Nicolas Wadimoff?
Well, you know, it's no that question. I was thinking about that yesterday. You know, we because with Aka Film, our company, we co-produced. I think a beautiful film called Under the Fig Trees by Erich, and which was at the director's fortnight. And I had lunch with the director, with Erich, yesterday, and we were talking about that. And I think if the film was such a success in Cannes, because people really took the film as a real sincere and poetical and approach of a young, you know, Tunisian and young Tunisian men and girls. I think this is because we share, Erich and me, the same approach. It's not about, you know, working on a computer and in your brain and then, oh, I would like to do a film about that, so I will go and I will try. It's like she lives the situation. She has deep desire to film those people. She likes those people. And this is the same for me. And so I think I would say that I'm, you said, who am I? I think I am all of that. I am the people in Aishin. I am Jean Ziegler. I am the guys in Opération Libertale who failed to do the revolution. I am the fisherman in Gaza. I am the guy who wants to break heads in Spartiate. I am the guy in the clandestine who wants to cross the ocean to go somewhere else. And I think I'm all of that. The only thing I know is that I need, like my characters, I think I need to live my life like 1000%. I have a kind of hyperactivity, you know, definitely. At the time when I was young, it was not called like that. It was just, people said, il est un peu agité, you know. But now they have, you know, medical and psychological terms for that. I must be part of that. And I need to, you know, we decided with my wife to have an apartment in Marseille. We are in Noailles, you know, in the middle of, you know, it's just to get to the apartment, it's complicated because it's so crowded downstairs. We're in the middle in the marché, which is really, it's plenty of people all the day. I need that, that's why I think if I would stay all the time in Geneva, I will die, quite slowly, day after day. So I need to have that. I need to live my life like that. So no choice. And I try to make films like that.
So, I mean, I just checking we already 1 hour. It's incredible how quick it was. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you a very last question, because it's plenty of suggestion actually what you told us tonight. For example, for film students, I mean, you are a director of cinema school, and so, but among the many suggestions you could give them, so what would be the most urgent one, the most important one for a young filmmaker just starting doing films?
Well, what I'm trying to transmit, it's something very basic, but I think it's try to connect deeply with yourself. And even if it takes time, you don't need to make a film today, after tomorrow, and tomorrow. Nobody's expecting your film or waiting for your film, you have time. But when you start making films, try to know why you do it. And if you don't want to be one of another one, among the others, if you want to have a voice, your voice has to be sincere and real. And even if you're not very good, with the tools, if you fail, I mean, that's okay. That you can learn. You can have a good DOP if you're not good into images. You can have a good editor. But try to connect yourself and to know why you want to make film, because making films costs a lot of money, takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy to a lot of people. To the characters that you're going to film if you make a documentary, to the actors that you're going to direct if you make fiction, to the whole crew, to all the funding you're going to ask money. That costs a lot. To the collectivity, to people giving you money, financial or whatever. And I think you really need to have a kind of emergency and strong desire. And that takes time, to know why you're doing that. And I think nowadays it's quite complicated because, the commitment, either political commitment, gender commitment, equality commitment, it's changing a lot today. It's a new generation. I don't learn you anything, don't teach you anything, that. And so they have to find a new base of desire. And the thing which is not easy now, that cinema community, film community is still run by old people. Let's say people between 40 and 70 years old. Okay. And the new generation, the one between 20 and 35, 38, they don't really belong to the same frame of thinking. They have a new frame, and that's very interesting. And I love that. I think it's great. But I think, unfortunately, now there is a kind of décalage, between generation. And what I tell them, try to control as soon as possible the tools so that you can make your films with your crew, with your people, without compromise, without trying to do it to be liked by the old man of 60 years old, because anyway, he doesn't understand anything to what you want to do, and including myself. So I think they have to go now, like the people in the 68 say, fuck off to everything. They have to do that now, and maybe just to leave us small space to, do some gardening or permaculture. And that's why I like fishing. I go fishing, and I will still make some few films, but I love to transmit what I know so that they can make films now for themselves and for their generation.
Thank you very much, Nicolas.
Thank you very much for your fire and the energy. We can really feel it.
Yeah, you feel it? Okay, cool.
And from our side, probably
fishing to come down tomorrow,
Yeah. And from our side, probably the last suggestion will be just to take the chance to look at your films. Actually, now there is also this possibility on DAFilms. The 6 films available on DAFilms are Clandestin, Aishin, Opération Libertad, Spartiate, Jean Ziegler, L'Optimiste, La Volonté, or The Optimist of Willpower, et l'Apollon de Gaza. And yeah, probably also take advantage to discover our film reviews on Film Explorer. Actually, we have a film review about Apollon de Gaza, but also about 3 films that you produced. Silence Radio by
Oriana
Fanjul, Ghost Hunting, the second film you produced with Ray Dandoni, and 1,000 Fires, a very nice film.
Which is a great film.
Myanmar. So thank you again, DAFilms. Thank you again, Nicolas, for being with us and to discuss about your films.
And thank you very much, all the people. They are looking and watching and hearing us now through DAFilms. Thank you very much. Have a nice night.
Bye-bye. Good evening. Thank you.